It's been 1 week.
Born different, born innocent, born perfect, not like you are, born lover.
It's 2021, and everything is still shit.
This past week, we all received a reminder that while the numbers may have changed, 2020 is not over. This confusing, terrifying, tensely surreal moment in history that we find ourselves sharing does not simply disperse into the atmosphere the moment our phones tell us it's 2021. As many of you will have heard by now, on January 7th, 2021, the Pokemon Company and P. Bandai announced the finest piece of art in the history of synthetic fabric, a big fucking Gengar who sucks on your head. With an ample and robust frame, a gaping more capable of housing even the beefiest human bonds, and a 170 centimetre long tongue. The Gengar head cushion is literally perfect. You can use its tongue for a bed, you can become a fleshy burrito, you can lie there with its teeth around your neck like an enamel guillotine, and imagine how easy, just how easy and freeing it would be if the purple fuck did us all a favour and clamped down. You can just give the fuck up. That'd be brilliant. The Gengar head cushion is the finest and most exquisite creation to ever be rendered in the medium of plush, and by the time I knew it existed, it had already sold out. Okay, we're not going to let that get to us, though. Of course, it had already sold out. It's something awesome, and it's adjacent to Nintendo. The fucking thing was invented so it could be sold out before I knew it existed. I literally mean that's the explicit reason they made it. And from what I've been learning lately, I can just say things like that. It's a conspiracy against me. Nintendo done it on purpose. Anyone who celebrated the end of 2020 claiming things were gonna get better, the worst of it was over, can just fuck the fuck right off to fuck. Oh, would have made me happy, that would. At least for one fleetingly blissful moment. To feel it. Just once. To feel my head slide betwixt the Gengar's spectral lips and embrace the oral oblivion. Hot wet tongue at my back. Spine sliding so perfectly into the lingual septum, like it was made to fit right inside. A wet pink appendage cradles me as I slide my head into that inviting, ever so hungry hole. I feel all sense of agency and control slide away. As I surrender, I know at last everything is okay. It's safe in the Gengar. Nobody can hurt me in the Gengar. For in the mouth of this ghost Pokemon, all I can do is be tasted. All I am now is flavour for the Gengar. A lollipop am I, and nobody can hurt the lollipop. I am the lollipop, and you call me insane. You are privy to a great becoming, but you recognise nothing. To me, you are a slug in the sun. You are an ant in the afterbirth. It is your nature to do one thing correctly. Before me, you rightly tremble, but fear is not what you owe me. You owe me all! Sorry, just caught myself reading one of the last tweets Donald Trump sent before Twitter banned the old Nazi. Oh yeah, I guess while important things like Gengar's mouth were happening, the President of the United States done a treason and inspired an army of terrorists to take over the Capitol in an effort to steal actual democracy. That was a weird fucking day. Huh? Oh yeah, a day. That wasn't the whole week. That was just one of the days that happened. Social media is finally doing something about that little fascism problem that social media has said for years that it couldn't do anything about. YouTube, in a stunning move, has announced that it will now, going forward, because of a terrorist uprising, don't forget, it will now apply its community standards and policies to any YouTube channel. Yes, that's right, YouTube announced that. It actually announced that it would adhere to consistent policy enforcement, that it wouldn't pick and choose who gets to skirt the rules. And isn't that just perfectly YouTube? It has to be a bold and dramatic announcement that it will be following its own standards. Something it hasn't done in the past. In fact, YouTube as a platform has actively promoted, pushed and rewarded far-right conspiracy theories, dangerous ones, real violent shit and targeted harassment. It has pushed all of this stuff, profited off this stuff, and let's remember during all of this time it's been quietly demonetizing LGBTQ+ content, a very salient point considering a lot of right-wing pundits are now saying, well, what happens when they come for you? What happens when social media starts demonetizing you and taking your work down and suppressing you? Sit the fuck down. A lot of people have been dealing with shit like this on and off social media all their lives, simply for existing and trying to live their lives without bothering anyone. Oh, the corporation put profits above your sense of well-being. Join the fucking club, kids. Welcome to what the rest of us have been saying for years, dipshits. The people's president that the people love so much is a fucking executive. He's Bobby fucking Kotick. No. Bobby Kotick runs a successful business. The man who claimed he would run America like a business ran it like THQ in its final fucking years. Anyway, the point is, YouTube, Patriot, has committed to pretending that it doesn't selectively enforce its rules. Now, I have things to say about YouTube. Well, I mean, it's obvious I've got things to say about YouTube. I complain about the platform any fucking chance I get. There's 1 or 2 videos about YouTube I've got in the works. But for right now, I would like to thank YouTube for indirectly admitting that all this time it's been playing favorites. Something we all knew. Also, I must comment on the huge turnaround seen among right-wing punditry. So many of them love socialism now, despite saying it's the devil. I mean, it's the only way I can explain how much they've turned on the free market by demanding equal access to a private company's platform as a public human right. First Twitter, then healthcare. Let's fucking go! Oh, and here I was thinking that reaching across the aisle was placating bollocks, but, you know, if they're gonna be socialists about it. Shut up, you little sub! We don't have time to think about any of this, because Sean Hannity had to debunk a claim that his unlimited pasta card had been revoked from Olive Garden. Sean Hannity had to debunk a claim that his unlimited pasta card had been revoked from Olive Garden. I'm not sure I've ever witnessed an era that is both so horrifying and so utterly fucking ridiculous at once. We're still dealing with a pandemic, as well as what could only be called a cold civil war, but at the same time, emotes are being banned from Twitch for siding with an armed insurrection. Jesus Christ, I need to repeat this. An emote got cancelled for siding with an armed insurrection. Look, I was born in 1984, folks. I'm one of the defective early-run millennials who remember when we didn't have the internet. This was before people would call stuff epic, which these days is old. Awesome was the hot new thing the kids said when I was a kid. Awesome. That was the word. That was the hot word. have known what a POG is since 1993, and I've lived my life confident that I will always know what a POG is. When someone says POG champ, I think they're talking about me because I literally shill for POGs all the time. Real, actual POGs, of which I have loads. I'm a literal champion of and for POGs. I used to have a character on this show called the Pog Fucker. But apparently I don't even know what POG means anymore. POG Champ isn't even about POGs, I've been told. It's sure as shit not about me, an actual champion of POGs. It's the name of an emote on Twitch, and people I know say POGgers all the time, and none of them are even thinking about POGs. They're just saying POGgers. Poggers! They're thinking about this emote, which was the face of a man who played video games, but the man who played video games turned out to sympathise with a despotic coup attempt. I can't really describe how bewildered I am at having to acknowledge that PogChamp can't be Poggers anymore, because PogChamp supported a violent seizure of American democracy. Now that's... punk?
Now that's Pog.
PogChamp can't be Poggers anymore because PogChamp supports undemocratic insurrections. That's just a sentence that makes sense to people now. And that's before I saw someone add the Chungus meme to the discussion, and I can't begin to tell you how dissonant that shit is right now. Not that I'm saying Chungus supports armed insurrections, and just then someone used Chungus in application to someone just make Pogfucker the new PogChamp. Video game discourse is often so stupid, so absurd, that the only thing stopping it from being hilarious is that all too often it comes with harassment, violence, and hate. Time was only internet subcultures like the hardcore gaming community were online enough and weird enough for bizarre controversies and wild conspiracies to take such a deep and a wide route. Now we're in a tyrant's last days of rule and QAnon's gone mainstream, so it's anyone's fucking game. Rudy Giuliani gets to just do Rudy Giuliani things on TV and people take him seriously, even though he's Rudy Giuliani and he's being Rudy Giuliani. And somehow, more than 10 years of personally dealing with wingnuts, fascists, stalkers, fans of Assassin's Creed have left me somehow completely unprepared for a world in which Rudy Giuliani is allowed on TV whenever he wants. You know what also didn't prepare me for this dystopia? Fucking video games. The medium that loves dystopia the most. Useless pieces of shit. And that's the point, isn't it? Of all this. That The Division is utter bullshit. The Division, a series that openly advocates for gun ownership while claiming it isn't political, it tells a dark and a gritty story about a populist uprising in the United States that must be put down by an elite government force. It's the kind of authoritarian wet dream that makes up 90% of Ubisoft's product line, the kind of stuff Trump fans loved before last week, but for all its accuracy in terms of map design and aesthetic, The Division clearly didn't do its research when it comes to portraying an American coup correctly. The world of The Division paints a simple and clear-cut picture of how cops are good and how the working class is scum. In the world of The Division, the forces of law and order are set squarely against the forces of crimes. It's pure fucking fantasy. At no point in either Division game do you have trouble telling who the police and who the violent rioters are. You do not get non-lethal gameplay options for fighting white enemies. There are no QTEs where you tap a button to hold open doors for terrorists. No photo mode that lets you take selfies with them. I thought all these so-called AAA video games were meant to be so gritty, so immersive, and believable, and realistic. Also, Ubisoft spent years protecting sexual abusers. I do, however, owe an apology to one video game and one video game only. There is but a single game that completely called it, and it's a game I actually mocked, criticised, and tore apart for the very same thing it got right. For the first time in my life, I am actually going to say sorry to Activision, as well as the developer of the game in question, Instigate Games, for my claiming Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified on the PlayStation Vita was in any way inaccurate, unbelievable, or poorly made. To its credit, Declassified lets you know exactly how awful it is almost immediately, I wrote in 2012. Within the first 4 minutes of playing, no less than 5 enemies had managed to commit suicide by crouching behind cars and attempting to shoot me through the vehicles until they exploded in their faces. The Death Wish AI doesn't stop there. Opponents will rarely run away from grenades, and in some situations they may actually run towards them. It's almost as if they know how bad the game is and want their miserable digital lives terminated immediately. Harsh words. Wrong words. For as we now know, the self-destructive terrorist AI in Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified is 100% accurate. Fucking hell. What is going on? Like fucking hell, what is going on though? Committing to a weekly show about stupid fucking video games seemed like a great idea when the President of the United States wasn't trying to dodge a Twitter ban with sock puppets because he tried to steal an entire country. Sorry, I should have said an entire America. Presidents try and steal countries all the time. What the fuck does the video game industry have that can top any of this? Hell, what do video games as a medium for all their strange worlds and evocative designs have to rival the gripping roller coaster of emotions I now get from binge-watching reality itself? You wanna know why Doom Eternal didn't get my Game of the Year? Because there's not enough mewling hellspawn and grappling hook shotguns in the world that can penetrate the culturally desensitized shell that's been growing over me since at least 2014. Compared to what we're all dealing with these days, Hell on Earth sounds like Earth on easy mode. I'm going to close today by wrapping everything up in a neat little bow and making it thematically relevant to the Jimquisition, because this isn't just a video born out of a desperate need to say something in a week where video games are the least of our fucking problems, although, let's face it, it is a lot that too. So to return you to a message the Jimquisition has shared many times before, bullshit isn't born in a bubble. Everything's connected. All the shit we complain about on this show, all of the stuff that AAA video game corporations are allowed to get away with, as I've said, are a result of unchecked rampant capitalism allowing these companies to do whatever the fuck they like. Epic Games is in a market where it's free to buy whatever exclusives it wants. EA is in a market where it's free to put whatever gambling mechanics in whatever games it wants to sell to kids. Activision is in a market where it's free to underpay its workers and dodge taxes and slide predatory monetization into games sometimes weeks after they've come out. The crunch, the worker abuses, the unfinished nature of so many AAA video games. It all happens in the same market where life-saving medicine can have its rights divvied up so that corporations can sell it to people who need it at a price they can't afford. It's the same system that funnels so much money up to the likes of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos that they've done nothing but profit during a pandemic where the rest of the people are losing their homes, struggling to feed their families, and dying. You see, Antifa didn't call your landlord and convince them to be a piece of shit. Landlords do that on their own. They want their money, you see, so yes, they'll jack up the rent. Unfortunately, a whole bunch of businesses want their money as well, not just money, all of the money in the goddamn world. So rent gets jacked up because the landlords want money. But wages stay jacked down because businesses want money. And then when the people they take money from have no money, they get blamed for the deaths of entire industries that can't sell products to people with no money. But somehow capitalism's auto-cannibalism is never capitalism's fault. This system is the reason MAGAs, QAnoners, Trumpers of all description, why you've been hurting for years, along with the fucking rest of us. And you want to complain about all of the lefty causes that your hard-earned tax dollars go on? Do you know where your hard-earned tax dollars went? They went inside of those canisters the cops were throwing at you last week. And you had a taste. Just a fucking taste of what actual protests designed to actually protect people had to deal with throughout 2020. Oh, and just because I acknowledge we're all being shat upon by the same anus, that doesn't mean I'm reaching across the aisle. If you support what happened, if you support an attack on Congress trying to steal a vote, fuck you. You're an American traitor, and the fact that you chant USA, the fact that you co-opt the very notion of patriotism is disgusting beyond words. Unlike any of you who stormed the Capitol, I'm an American. And what's more, I'm an American who worked and paid to be one. Do you understand? It cost some fucking money to become a US citizen. I paid to have my vote. And voting against Trump was the best money I ever fucking spent. Trump and the rest of his un-American terrorists tried to steal that. From me, from you, from themselves. I'm not actually talking on screen, I'm dubbing over because I'm wearing a gas mask. The past couple of minutes of this episode was supposed to be this bit, but as I was recording the dub, I got angry and then accidentally did more Jimquisition and we had more rant than we had footage for, so I'm just talking over this. I mean, it doesn't even look convincing. Thank God for me, and that'll do. Yeah, I mean, we managed to make this week work.